For every retired F1 legend adored by fans worldwide, there's one who left the sport in disgrace. From heroes who defined sportsmanship,
yes, Ayrton Senna achieves his ambition to win the Brazilian Grand Prix,
and pushed the boundaries of human performance, to those who crashed their legacies harder than their cars ever did. These are Formula One's most loved and most hated retired drivers, and their stories remind us, in racing as in life, how you finish matters more than where you started. Let's start with the man who became every F1 fan's favorite gentleman, Juan Manuel Fangio.
One of the greatest drivers of all times is Fangio.
The Argentine maestro didn't just drive fast, he drove with a purpose that transcended lap times and trophy cabinets. Between 1951 and 1957, Fangio won 5 world championships across 4 different teams. 5 titles, 4 teams, a feat that still bewilders modern F1. But the numbers don't tell the real story. His 46.15% win rate, the highest in F1 history, speaks to something almost supernatural. A man who didn't just compete, he dominated with the grace of someone who understood he was privileged to be there. Fangio rose from nothing, from the modest streets of Valcarce, Argentina, where dirt tracks and determination were all he had. He could have let success corrupt him, could have forgotten where he came from. But Fangio was different. No matter how many trophies he collected, no matter how many records he shattered, he remained tethered to his roots. His competitors saw it, his rivals saw it. Even Michael Schumacher, a man who won 7 world championships himself, looked at Fangio and said, "Fangio is on a level much higher than I see myself." What made Fangio truly legendary wasn't just that he won, it was how he won. He approached racing as an art form, not a war. He mentored younger drivers. He carried himself with dignity, whether he finished first or retired. The man could have dominated through intimidation, but instead, he chose humility. He stayed connected to his community. He never forgot that he was a racer, not a god. But not every driver left the sport with applause ringing in their ears. Spain 2012. Pastor Maldonado pulled off the impossible, a Grand Prix victory for Williams. For one glorious afternoon, he looked destined for greatness. Fans cheered, commentators praised him, and it felt like the beginning of something. It wasn't. It was the peak. What followed wasn't a career, it was a highlight reel of destruction. Maldonado became infamous not for his victories, but for his collisions. His aggressive driving earned him the nickname Crashter, not out of affection, but exhaustion. Each race seemed to end in chaos. Collisions with rivals, teammates, barriers, and occasionally logic itself. By 2015, his final season, the incidents weren't just frequent, they were spectacular. Bahrain saw him flip Esteban Gutierrez's car into a full roll. Other races followed with similar calamities. Because when your ego is faster than your car, that's a problem. And then came the politics. Maldonado's seat was secured not through undeniable talent, but through Venezuelan state oil funding and political ties to President Hugo Chavez. The combination of money and controversy overshadowed any flashes of brilliance. In the end, his name became less a reminder of potential and more a punchline. The internet didn't just mock him, it memorialized him. A dedicated website once tracked whether Pastor Maldonado had crashed that day. And just like that, he went from podiums to punchlines. Now, let's shift from chaos to courage. Let's talk about Niki Lauda, the Austrian driver who looked death in the face and refused to blink. 3 world championships, multiple teams, but the statistics fade next to what Lauda endured and overcame. August 1st, 1976, Nürburgring. Lauda's Ferrari smashed into a barrier and erupted in flames. The fire was so intense, marshals couldn't reach him right away. When they finally pulled him out, his face was burned, his lungs damaged from inhaling toxic fumes. Doctors read him his last rites. The world prepared for his death. But Niki Lauda didn't die. He fought back. Just 6 weeks later, 6 weeks, he was back in the car. Bandages visible, scars raw, pain ignored. Most men would have retired. Lauda raced again. That season, he lost the title to James Hunt by a single point, but earned something far greater, the eternal respect of his peers. He wasn't just fast, he was fearless. Lauda turned tragedy into triumph, proving that willpower can be stronger than fire. But not every driver's comeback story exists. Some just crash and burn. 2021 started with promise for Nikita Mazepin, a Russian driver with the Haas F1 team backed by his billionaire father's Uralkali sponsorship. On paper, it looked like the beginning of a solid career. In reality, it became a slow-motion disaster. The problems began immediately. Reckless driving, erratic moves, disregard for racing etiquette, and competitors were quick to call him out. His on-track behavior frustrated the grid, but the real damage came off the circuit. A video emerged showing Mazepin inappropriately touching a woman without consent. The clip spread like wildfire. The backlash was immediate and global. #WeSayNoToMazepin trended for days. Sponsors distanced themselves. Fans revolted. Suddenly, this wasn't just about bad racing, it was about bad character. Even his team boss, Gunther Steiner, summed it up bluntly. That's why people hate you. And behind it all, the truth lingered. Mazepin's seat wasn't earned through talent. It was bought with money and influence. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, the sponsorship collapsed, the optics soured, and Haas terminated his contract. Within weeks, he and his father were sanctioned by the EU. From Formula One driver to international outcast, all in one season. And just like that, he went from headlines to history. Now, from disgrace to divinity, let's talk about the man who transcended the sport itself, Ayrton Senna. The Brazilian maestro wasn't just a driver, he was a phenomenon. He was poetry in motion. He was what happens when raw talent meets pure intensity, meets the willingness to give everything, every single lap. 3 world championships, 41 victories, 65 pole positions. But those numbers are footnotes to the real story. Senna didn't just drive fast, he drove with an almost supernatural connection between man and machine. But Senna's greatest gift to Formula One wasn't his lap times or his trophies. May 1st, 1994, the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola. On the first lap, Senna's Williams FW16 locked up approaching Tamburello Corner. Without grip, without downforce, the car shot straight into the concrete wall. The impact was catastrophic. The world watched in disbelief as the greatest driver of his generation was taken from us. He was 34 years old. His death sent shockwaves through motorsport that fundamentally changed the sport forever. Safety reforms came swiftly. The FIA took racing's danger seriously in ways they never had before. Senna's sacrifice became a turning point, a tragic reminder that speed has a price, but also that we owe it to future generations to make the sport safer. What Senna left behind wasn't just records, it was a legacy that extends far beyond statistics. The Ayrton Senna Institute, founded after his death, has positively impacted millions of lives in Brazil. He became not just a racing hero, he became a cultural icon, a reminder of what's possible when talent meets passion meets purpose. Some drivers left Formula One earning the eternal respect of fans. Others showed us how quickly fame can spin out. Because in this sport, glory and disgrace share the same track, just different laps. And if you think that's where the story ends, think again. What about the drivers who never retired, yet disappeared anyway? That's a story for another day.